So let's talk about the differences between analog and digital consoles. So analog consoles, again, they started everything here. Analog consoles are fantastic consoles to work with. In fact, analog consoles are where digital consoles kind of take all of their knowledge from of how to process things and how to think about things. So with an analog console, the beauty of them is the simplicity and how logical they are. You see, analog boards have this brilliant idea where everything starts from the top and you follow it all the way down to the bottom. With digital boards, we don't see that as much, and it's kind of a problem I have with digital boards these days, is that they really don't have that approach anymore. They've kind of gone the ways of, well, we have a screen or two, and we've got a dedicated set of control knobs that do everything, but for one channel at a time, and nothing kind of looks like the old boards anymore. So if you're new to the game of mixing, it can get really overwhelming. So let's look at an analog console here for a second. You see at the very top, you've got your gain. Then below that, you usually have your aux sends there. Aux sends usually would be used for two things. One, for monitor sends, or two, for sending to maybe a reverb unit or a delay unit and sending the amount that you want to it. You've got your EQ options. Now you usually also would have an insert option somewhere along the line here. And that insert option was actually a physical connection on that specific channel to go to some outboard rack gear, usually like a gate or a compressor. And usually you had to have a single unit for each channel you wanted. Sometimes you had rack units that had two built in, or maybe three or four, and you could actually do multiple ones to there, but you were limited on where you could use your resources by how many you had available in your rack and how many connections you needed to fulfill. And of course, after that, you'd have things like your pan, your mute, your fader. But with a digital board, this is where things got really good, was that once we started having a couple digital boards start coming out, we learned, okay, we need to get our digital conversion better from our preamps to the digital world, because things didn't sound that great. And so they got better. And then we realized, oh, you know what? We've got all this processing power under the hood now. We can actually put a compressor and a gate or all these other cool effects on every single channel. You could have a 32 channel board that only costs a couple grand that can have all of that processing power on every single channel. That's something you can't do with an analog board without it costing a ton more, costing a ton, and even just the cabling and the power just to supply it. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. So the flexibility and the ease of use that digital brings when it comes to patching these kinds of effects and how good they sound too, mind you, like they're modeled after some of the best sounding equipment that was only available in recording studios now are in your church. So digital consoles make a whole lot more sense these days now than they ever have before, because they're cheap, relatively speaking, they're powerful, they sound great, and you can set them up the way you work usually. So let's keep going to the next video where we're going to talk about PA systems, and then we're going to go even further and actually start mixing stuff. So let's get to it.